So the throat chakra is directly connected to the sacral chakra in yogic philosophy, which means that our sexual, emotional, and creative balance down here is the foundation for a balanced and wholesome way of self-expression. And in anatomy and nervous system anatomy, the pelvic floor looks like the vocal cords. The vulva looks like the vocal cords. The uterus looks like the larynx, and the word cervix in Latin is Latin for the word neck, right? So there's a deep similarity in the anatomical design, and there is a fascia band of connective tissue. So the sacral chakra is housed by the psoas, which is the kind of trunk, a really big muscle. It's the trunk system that holds the nervous system, right? And that psoas has a fascia strap that comes up all the way from the coccyx, a connective tissue that the nervous system comes off, and it ends on the tip of our tongue. So there is a fascia system that connects the pelvic area to the vocal area. This is where the end of the nervous system is, here on the tongue. So when we've had deep traumas and pains and old wounds, which are often down here in the psoas area, in the sacrum, in the seat of the emotional well-being, we often battle to speak our truth because we have a lot of nervous system locks down here on a physical level, emotional level, and spiritual level. So we've moved from the sacrum all the way up to the throat now in Kundalini Krism Yoga, our mother tongue. We're now at the throat chakra point. But it's good to think about this, that there is a connection to our emotional waters. So let's talk a bit about the throat chakra. It is Vishuddha in Sanskrit, and that comes from the words Vishu, which is impurity or poison, and Suddhi, which is to purify. So it's the purification point, right? And we've come from earth in the root, water in the Svadhisthana, fire in the Manipura, air in the heart, and now we're at ether. So in Sanskrit they say Akash, like the Akashic records, ether or space, the fifth element, the fifth chakra is associated with space, right? And space is the potential for creation. So in yogic philosophy as well, it's the place of Brahma, the creator. So it's the space that has now been distilled through all the four elements into the ether, the spirit, the word. It's the space to speak into and create substance or form. So even the chakra has 16 petals in its design. It's a lotus with 16 petals, and those petals, 16, are representative of the 16 vowels in Sanskrit because it's the place of sound. And we know that sound is the bedrock of creation, right? So our sound is our Brahma, our creator. The word becomes flesh. And the word that we give is connected, like I said, to the sacral area. So when we are deeply connected to our yin space, so the sacrum is the place of the waters, it's the water element, so it's our emotional yin feminine side. It's the part of us that just tells us instinctively. There's no cognition there. It's just like when the body or the heart goes, or this doesn't feel like this, I need this. It tells us immediately, and usually our own wounds and subconscious patterning has us undermining those instinctive feelings. But the throat, if it's in a nice balanced place, it is listening to the inner wisdom of the emotional body. They are connected. So when the sacrum is relaxed, our speech is relaxed, and we're really aligned, and it's just fluid to communicate our emotional needs. You know, and we can do it in a nice way, and we can listen as well. Listening comes with a balanced throat. Speaking quite easily our emotional needs. Deep connection and authentic relating comes from a balanced throat as well, because we are speaking our needs so freely. We can self-express really easily. There's no block on the voice. And the block on the voice, when that is there, when we struggle to speak, or we have these feelings of judgment for our voice, for our expression, for our needs, usually it's because we've been conditioned and we've had lots of hurt in the emotional area. So we've been programmed to not say what we need because that's what we had to do when we were young to stay safe, right? But this kind of locks down our creative potential because we're not creating our world. We're not being Brahma, using our sound to just fluidly connect with our emotional being and be like, this is where I'm at. This is who I am. We all have a very intrinsic set of needs and expressions that's so particular to each individual. So nobody's going to know what that is or understand it unless we speak it. So yeah, it's the place where we purify. So the throat is the last of the 5 elements. It's the ether, the spiritual element. And if we purify at this point by speaking the truth and actually really connecting into the inner emotional needs and announcing those things and expressing whatever we need to express, be that artistically as well, our artistic creation comes from a balanced sacrum into the throat. So when we allow ourselves to do that at this point in the Kundalini Chrism yoga process, so the chrism is rising up toward the pineal. It's about to reach the crown come solstice, right? So this is another turning point for us. If we still want to play the subconscious wounding game and not say the thing, not express the thing, that's because of deep wounding in the sacrum area and fears. That's okay, but what will happen is that the energy will then turn back down and recess back into the lower chakras. So this is the last of the elements to move through, and then we're going to reach the third eye, which is beyond the elements. It's emptiness, or chitta, or consciousness. It's Shiva Shakti merges at the third eye. So this is the point where our Shiva, which is more like our masculine ability, our logos to communicate, words are quite yang or masculine. Our words are there to protect our yin or feminine. They're there to create a container for her, which is us, our deep emotional needs. And our yang communicates and protects our inner being. So this relationship between the throat and the sacrum is a beautiful reflection of the masculine and the feminine in all of us, the yin and the yang in all of us. Do we speak up for ourselves and give ourselves the needs and boundaries and expressions that we need to feel fulfilled? Because I'll tell you one thing, after expressing myself over the last week with friends and feeling reciprocity and feeling emotionally heard and hearing their emotional space as well, I found a great sense of renewal, realignment, and then great creativity comes out of there. So when we speak from our throat, it's also a place of great bliss and joy in yogic philosophy, and I actually experienced this in my life. Then my creativity just started to flow, because when I speak up for my emotional needs and I find a great way of connecting and balancing it out with people in my life, there's so much wholesome and wellness there. My emotional being is like, yes, so satiated and safe and comfortable that then it just wants to start expressing. So more creativity and self-expression comes out of that place because I'm doing the inner work of listening to myself and saying what I need. So yeah, just a little encouragement to speak your truth. On a physical level, if a person struggles with headaches, jaw pains, thyroid issues, what else? I wrote it all down here. Neck pain, sore throat. These are physical traits of a possible unbalance in the throat, which is an unbalance in the sacrum. So yeah, there's many ways to unlock these spaces, and just encouraging everyone to feel safe to express yourself. Because when we do, the energy can then move up into emptiness, into just a new space, taking the chrism up into the crown. And it's a hard threshold. It's definitely a story point for us to speak in this way in our lives with people. It's a story point in the hero or heroine's journey, right? It's an obstacle or a progressive complication is what we would call it in screenplay writing. Like the hero or heroine encounters like an emotional need, and then they have to have conversations, and that's like a scenario or an obstacle. But once it's done and said and expressed, the hero's journey then opens up even more, and great joy is found in it, and we can go further along. So yes, just encouraging everyone to say it. Purify, purification point. This is it. This is the dove's fire. It's the spirit's fire. There's two fires. There's the Manipura fire, which is kind of like the prima materia fire, the fire of the mother, the snake, and this is the dove or the eagle's fire. It's the second fire. It's the second distillation of the prima materia, or integration of the self. So it's a refinement fire. It's a blue fire, and that comes through the voice. And when it's out, then up into the crown, right? So it's might be challenging, but believe me, do it so you can carry on this alchemical journey into the chrism, the awakening, the Christ, the revelation, the pineal opening. Okay, sending love.